You're listening to the Soul Whispers podcast. This is your guide to break out of your fears, follow the path that lights you up, and come home to yourself. I'm your host, certified life coach and soul whisperer, Jen Sway. Before we begin, know that wherever you are in your journey, you can trust yourself. You're being divinely guided, and your life is meaningful. Now, let's start the show. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Soul Whispers podcast. I'm your host, Jen Sway, and if you're new here, welcome. This whole podcast is dedicated to help you reconnect with your intuition so that you can move forward in your life with confidence and clarity. So today, I have another fun episode for you that is going to be a behind-the-scenes look into a live life coaching session. Today, I'll be coaching Chloe on her relationships, and you'll see that she was going through some things, some thoughts that was making her feel undesired and unloved in her relationship. And I want you to know how that transitions throughout the session. Now, bear in mind that this is a live coaching session, which means there's going to be pauses throughout the session where Chloe is thinking and processing through the information, seeing her feelings, and responding. So please bear that in mind as you go through this episode. If there's a long pause, just keep on listening, and I want to invite you to process with her, right? This is also your opportunity to kind of see what comes up for you if you are going through something similar in your relationship, or you can just empathize and see where the session is going. So let's get into the episode. So I was looking over your intake, and you just said that you wanted to get coached on relationships.
Yes.
Right? Tell me a little bit more about what's going on.
So basically, I wanted some coaching around my romantic relationship. I'm not new to coaching, but I've never kind of gone into that area. So there's definitely a lot of things I've been working on recently that I'm noticing are coming up. And so I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to do so.
Okay. Yeah. Tell me
Yeah.
what you would want coaching on.
Okay. So basically, I'm familiar with like the manuals, that kind of thing. I recognize that I have this in many different areas, and so I'm fairly aware of that. However, I figured I would give you like the most recent situation where things came up. So basically, I was away for 6 weeks, and I came back, and my boyfriend was picking me up at the airport. And I had this like idea, of course, of how it was going to go. And it was not that at all. And so I was like, feeling lots of things, disappointed. Basically, I had this idea that he was going to arrive there and he was going to be waiting inside and that he would be super excited to see me, which I don't know that he wasn't, but when he arrived, it was different. So he waited in the car and then picked me up as I was like ready to go. And then when he got out, it was like a really quick hug, kiss. Okay, let's get in the car and go. And I was like, okay, what the hell is going on here? Like, shouldn't you be super excited to see me and like doing all the things that I had imagined?
Were you super excited to see him?
I was.
Okay. How did you express that?
But I did not express that because I was caught up in my own BS about how I thought he should have showed up. So I did not express that. Very interesting.
What is that when you see that? What comes up for you?
Like see that I didn't show up either in that way, or
yeah, like you didn't show up the way you wanted to.
Yeah. Well, in my head, I have it as like, well, I didn't show up the way that I wanted to because I was taken off by the way that he showed up. And I thought that he should have showed up in that way. So then I was feeling, not excited in that moment. I was feeling super let down.
Okay. So what was the result then?
The result was that we sat in the car silently as I was seething inside with anger.
Yeah. How did you see that going differently in your head?
So yeah, I just imagined that it was going to be this like happy thing where he would be there like waiting inside already. And, Yeah, that he would be there waiting and that he would be excited and like verbally express that and maybe go in for
Mhm.
like a longer hug.
Okay.
And yeah, just like express that verbally and physically more than it was.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
So let's take that. And
Okay.
I want you to just like feel into your body. So you can close your eyes if that feels right to you. But really take a moment to feel that, like if it had gone that way, right? Notice how you were feeling before you saw him. You had this idea of him waiting for you inside the airport, giving you a longer hug, really being excited to see you. Maybe his face is lit up. How does that make you feel?
Um, like happy and excited and like I'm loved.
Happy,
Yeah.
excited, loved. And you feel happy, excited, and loved because
Because I feel like he was happy, excited, and showing love to me.
mm, okay.
Yeah.
So what was the need that you had that wasn't met?
Hmm. I don't know if it was feeling loved or, yeah, maybe loved. Like, I also want to say not needed,
Hmm,
but
like a
yeah,
desire.
yeah, like desire. That's exactly
Mhm.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would it be accurate to say that you like wanted to be wanted?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. So how is it that like when you look at what ended up happening, you guys sitting together in the car, you silently seeing how it went down? Right, like, I think, like, first of all, no judgment in that, that's, like, brains being brains, humans being humans, but part of, like, being angry, right, and, like, seething, I'm gonna put in that category of anger. We can get, like,
Y-
more nuance there, but that type of disappointment, that type of anger typically tends to be, like, a secondary response to
mm,
something else that we're feeling,
yes.
right? So, what was it that you felt when you didn't get this moment that could make you feel happy, excited, loved?
Like, yeah, like undesirable, I think.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Shitty.
Mhm. Tell me more.
um, yeah, because I just feel like being in a relationship, I like if I put myself on the other side,
Mhm.
because if he was coming back, I would, want I would want him to feel that way, like he's been missed and
Mhm.
that I'm very happy to see him. So,
Mhm.
yeah, for me it was like yeah, like mm,
It's a little painful, like a little hurt.
yeah, yeah, like hurt. Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure hurt and painful because yeah, because I would just imagine that that's how I would have shown my affection
Mhm.
and he didn't. So, yeah, hurt for sure.
Okay. Cool. So now we have like something to work with here, right? Like that's what's underlying that like the anger wanted to like kind of cover up, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Because then it stops you from feeling it, stops you from like, reacting a certain way.
totally.
Here's like this perspective that I want to offer you, right? Is that if you take away the manual, feel like just like throw that concept away. We all have wants and desires and needs in a relationship, right? And it's okay to express those things. It's okay to express like if we feel hurt because we wanted something to happen this way, or like we have a need that wasn't met, right? But the thing is, it's not attaching the feeling of being loved being cared for, being desired, to him acting a certain way, it's like knowing that that's true, like no matter what, right? And because you would react a certain way, or you would show up in the relationship a certain way in order to make him feel loved and cared for and desired, that doesn't mean that that's the way that he's going to show it to you, right? Classic love language differences.
Yeah.
And this is where I would offer the difference between a transactional relationship and a reciprocal relationship. And I bring this up because it can almost be in this one-to-one, like, if I would show up this way in the airport for you, then I want you to show up in the airport like this way for me.
Yeah.
Versus, this is how I show my love if you were to come back from the airport. And then the expectation and the desire and the need there is for you to just reciprocate that love to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. It doesn't have to be in a certain way, just as long as it's being reciprocated.
Yeah. And the tricky part here, right, is like, well, who determines if you feel loved or not? Like, who determines if you feel desired or not, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I mean, I can definitely see the other side and see how him just, going there and picking me up and being there and doing that might be his way of doing that. So I can't say, this is how you should show that. So yeah.
I'm curious for you, like, what happened after that?
Well, for the duration of the ride, which was like 30 minutes, I pretty much said like 0 words. And yeah. And when there were words shared, it was very short. And yeah, I kind of forgot about this until right now, but yeah, like as I was sitting there, it was very painful because I was like holding back tears and I didn't want to say too much because I felt like if I were to speak, I was going to cry, which was like maybe not appropriate in the situation for whatever reason. But yeah, we kind of talked about it a little bit after, but I also didn't want to say too much because I recognized that like it was my own thing to work through. Yeah.
Is it though?
I think partly because of me needing to reframe the situation and not put that expectation on him of how he should show up. But yeah, I mean, also him understanding that about me, maybe, or understanding what was true for me in that moment.
If you gave that hurt, like that you were experiencing in that car, that like made you feel like you couldn't speak without crying, like if you were to give that part of you a microphone and a voice, what would it have said?
It would have said probably something ridiculous. Why don't you love me?
That's okay. No. So here's the thing, right? Can we like just meet ourselves with where our experience is at without judging it? And especially when you already have these coaching tools of like the manual or the model and all these things, it can be so easy to like just be like, well, we should just feel okay. Like any sadness that we feel from somebody else shouldn't be like because they did something. It's like we're responsible for how we feel. But at the same time, it's understanding that when we're in relationships with people, we want the best for each other. We want to love on each other. We want to help each other grow. We want the other person to feel loved in the way that they like to receive love. We want to know. We care. It's a way of caring. It's like, it's us being humans to humans and not just, hey, let's use this tool here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And definitely like going back to your question of like what happened after or how I kind of went through that, it was definitely like going through and just being like, okay, here's my tools and I will just deal with this myself.
So what does that look like to you? Or like when you see that, like, what is that? What did you do?
So I just looked at the situation and like kind of broke it down into pieces and was like, okay, what are the facts
Mm,
here and what are my thoughts about it? And
mm,
clearly my thoughts that I'm having about the situation, which here's the list, would definitely create feelings of like being undesired or unloved or
right.
yeah, just not wanted.
Yeah.
So I was able to see like, okay, this is my thinking creating that, but still I feel like I don't know that I still feel like there should have been a difference there. Just
Yeah.
really attached to that.
Yeah. And that's fine. Like, here's the thing, right? I think this is a case of bearing a feeling alive and like kind of gaslighting your own feelings out of yourself. Um, because there's a judgment there, right? There's a judgment of like, I shouldn't feel this way, or
Yeah.
like, this isn't on him. Like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, right? But I've seen this for myself, for other people too, kind of like, it's not good. I'm being a bad partner if I'm expecting my partner to meet this need or meet this expectation or meet this fantasy or like whatever, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
unreasonable. It's so unreasonable that I'm just going to keep it to myself and never speak of
Yeah.
it.
Pretty much.
Right. So here's the thing, like, being able to have those tools to like course correct in real time is helpful. Being able to have those tools to understand like how is your thinking is creating your feelings, what are the results, blah blah blah. Like, all that stuff is great. And when we're feeling a feeling in real time, it doesn't typically help to just cut it off, right? Because a feeling that's buried alive never dies.
Yes.
And that emotion has wisdom. So, what is that pain that was like, why don't you love me? What is it trying to tell you?
Hmm. I don't know, but I
Take a
mean,
guess.
yeah. Um yeah, just like that I wasn't getting a need met at that time, but I don't know what else. Yeah, I don't know.
Keep try this, right? Like, keep letting it talk, right? So imagine that pain has a mic and it goes, why don't you love me? What else does it say?
Mhm. I don't know. Yeah, I guess yeah, why don't you love me? Why don't you show me how you feel or like I don't believe you if you don't like if you're not showing me in this way. I don't believe, that you do.
Yeah. And finish the sentence. I need you to show me love in this way because.
I need you to show me love in this way because I need to feel loved and desired.
Mm. And this is the way to make me feel loved and desired because.
Because hmm, I guess I don't know how else one would show that.
Mm. And if I don't receive this, then I make that mean.
And if I don't receive that, I make it mean, yeah, that I'm not, yeah, that I'm not good enough in your eyes, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah. Interesting.
What's coming up for you as you see that?
Just that that's not the layer of which I thought was coming up in that situation, which is so interesting to really, it's hard getting to that. And really, that's what that is.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now that you
Yeah.
see that, like, what's becoming clearer to you?
Mm, yeah. That I'm just really attaching all of that and all of his actions in our relationship, like when I'm feeling unloved or undesired or wanting him to do a certain thing, because if not, then it means that I'm not good enough for that, or I'm not
Mm.
worthy of having that behavior towards me.
Mm. Interesting.
Very interesting.
Now, I want you to play with this thought just a little bit more.
Okay.
What if you told him, and this is just hypothetical, okay? What if you
Okay.
told him, hey, this is like what I'd like to request you to do. Like, if you pick me up from the airport again, I would like you to wait inside for me and then greet me with the biggest hug and love on me and tell me how much you miss me, like all the things. Like, I love that. Like, it makes me feel so loved and desired if you're able to do that.
Am I thinking of like how I think he would respond?
Yeah. How do you feel about even like if you were able to do that?
Yeah, I could say that, and I feel like I would be being ridiculous if I said that.
Okay, okay. So just check that out. Okay, take him out of the picture
Okay.
of how he responds. Why do you feel ridiculous to speak your desires?
Yeah, I guess it's not as much about speaking the desire as much as it is requesting that from someone because at the
Wait, is
same
there a
time,
difference?
yeah, I think
Okay.
because if I just speak that out loud, he can be like, "Okay, cool, good to know." But if I'm like requesting him doing that, he might be like, "That's like that's ridiculous. That's high maintenance. Like, don't you want me to just be me and to show up
Mm.
the way that I would authentically show up and not just, do that because you want me to do that?"
Yeah, isn't that all just your thoughts?
Totally.
Because like if he's showing up authentically and if he authentically loves you, then doesn't he want to love you
I
and make
hope
you feel
so.
loved?
I
like
mean, I hope so.
like if he were to
Yeah.
be like, "Hey, I would really love you to wait inside, the airport so that I
Yeah.
feel loved." Would you be like, "You're ridiculous and high maintenance, and I cannot believe you want that. That is so cringe." Like
No, I wouldn't. I would do it, but like in my head I'm going like, yeah, but I would just do that anyways.
mm,
But yeah, totally I would do that. But at the same time, like what's coming
mm,
up is then I would be thinking, like if I requested that and let's say he was like, absolutely, I'll do that.
mm.
But then I'm like, okay, but now he's just doing it because I asked him to do it. And now it's different because you can ask someone to do something and they'll do it, but it's different if they just do it on their own.
What's different about it?
Well, it came from their heart and they wanted to do that and they thought to do that because they're thoughtful. And
What is okay? So I'm gonna pause you right there and look
okay.
because it's like you're assigning meaning to an action instead of the intention. His intention is to love you. Right? I'm assuming. I'm assuming. I don't know who this guy is. But let's just assume he loves you
Yeah.
and his intention is to keep loving you and want to keep having you in his life. Okay? I want to keep showing you love because that's what a reciprocal loving relationship does. If his intention is to love you, and in his mind, it's just, this is, I just want to be loving being the intention, the way of being, then the actions is just what happens. It's the doing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really big difference.
Like this is the game that we play in our heads. It's like, oh, it doesn't count if I had to tell them to do something. It's like, what? So that you get exactly what you want?
Yeah.
It's like the whole, oh, I just like, you don't have to get me anything for my birthday. I'm happy with whatever. But you're like, I want this specific thing that I saw at this specific store. And I really, really want this thing. And it's like, if they know me well enough and they get me this thing, then I know they love me. Then I know they're paying attention to me. Right. Versus like,
Yeah.
we're all human beings. We all have like monkey minds that are thinking a billion different things and worried about different things and whatever. And something so loving as like making our partners like decisions easy for us to be like, hey, I'm gonna feel loved if you do this. Like, wow, now you're being a loving partner, and then he gets to love on you more, and then it's just a freaking love fest.
Mm. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's just one perspective.
Yeah.
What's your thought?
Yeah. I really that's like super useful, seeing the difference between like the intention, like attaching to the intention versus the action, because yeah, the action's just the action. So it's not the thing that matters. It's totally the intention that matters. So that can really look so many different ways when you take it away from the action and put it onto the intention. So yeah, that's like
Yeah. I just want you to notice one more thing, right? Like, if, for example, you requested, hey, can you put the dishes in the dishwasher? And he did that thing, would you be like, oh, I don't feel loved because, or he wasn't actually being responsible. I had to like request this thing.
no, kind of yes, but no. I mean, it would depend on whether I had to ask after the fact or if he like if it was before the fact of the dishes sitting there. Hmm.
Why does it make a difference?
Because one is like nagging and one is requesting.
Well, there's no such thing as nagging.
Or there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if you did it like 3 times in a row within like an hour.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. But no, I mean, just asking for the dishes is like, okay. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. It's not like a super charged thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to show that there's also this opportunity here to be like, this person cares and wants to, for lack of a better term, like please me. Like they respect me and they respect my requests enough to actually follow through on them. So after the task is completed, that's actually space for you to be like, oh wow, you can feel loved and appreciative that you have this person in your life who actually cares about your input and your desires and your requests enough to fulfill them. So if you were to tell him exactly what the protocol is now for airport pickups, now when he goes in and like hugs you and loves on you, it's not just, oh, this doesn't matter because like you did this because I told you so. And he's like confused because he's like, but this is what you said would make you feel loved and you don't feel loved, right? But instead it's like, wow, he loves me so much that he actually did the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely the second piece to that.
Yeah. It's just another perspective.
Yeah. A great one. Thank you for that.
Of course. Okay. So what's your biggest takeaway from today's session?
Mm. I think there's two, and I would say probably the first one is really like recognizing that I should trust those emotions a little bit more instead of just like sweeping them away and being like, oh, it's just my thoughts, whatever. Like it's my own thing, especially in relationship to, maybe voice that and to listen to that a little bit more. And the second thing is really just like the difference between the intention versus the action and really tuning more into the intention of the action and not just about the action. Because even as I'm thinking that now, like there could be a chain of or one action that is, what I would imagine to be the thing, but if the intention isn't there, then that's not good either. So yeah, the intention is definitely the more important thing to see there. So yeah, two like huge things.
Beautiful. I love
Yeah.
that. One last thing that just came to mind, and because it hit me, I was just like, I gotta share this. I saw this
Hmm.
thing, it was like a quote from Friends where he was like, or I think it was one of the girls was just like, oh, like I'm afraid I'm being too high maintenance. And he was like, you aren't ever gonna be high maintenance to somebody who wants to maintain you. And I
Hmm.
heard this in so many ways, like, you're never too clingy to the man who wants to cling on to you. You're never too needy to the man who wants to meet your needs. I don't know if you're in a heterosexual relationship, but, I think you said boyfriend, but
Yeah.
That's just goes to show it's like can we invite ourselves to be our full authentic self, to be our full human self, and not just be a coach or like always be in this personal development mode, but just
Yeah.
be a human.
Yeah. Yeah. I love those quotes. It's so true. It's so true. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today, Chloe. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. If you enjoyed listening to that session and want to experience coaching for yourself, then I invite you to book a consultation with me on my site at jencui.com. That's jencui.com. You can also go to the link in the description box of this video or podcast episode, wherever you're listening to it, and book a consultation through there. Until next time, friends, stay well.